All right, it's another edition of the Edgington Post Show. Today I have with me the legendary science fiction author Ben Bova. Ben, are you there?
I'm here. Not all here, but I'm here.
You've got a new book coming out in conjunction with Les Johnson?
Yes.
And
it's called Rescue Mode.
Right. So tell me a little bit about Rescue Mode.
It's about a first human expedition to Mars that runs into trouble. And the question is not, are they going to get to Mars? It's, are they going to survive?
And give us a little tickler. What's I know it's from Bain Publishers here, and they often do the sort of the liberty-oriented stuff, and they're certainly specialized in science fiction. What can we expect?
I think it's a damn good thriller with very, very accurate technical details. Les Johnson is a top-flight NASA engineer, and I enjoyed working with him very much.
How long have you been doing science fiction? Because I remember I worked at a science fiction comic book store back in the 80s, and your books were on the shelves back then.
Oh, yeah. My first novel was published in 1959.
Jeez.
Back when we used Smith Corona portable typewriters.
What do you use now?
There was a time in my life when I thought an IBM self-correcting Selectric was heaven.
Yeah, like that's the pinnacle of technology. How could it possibly get better than a Selectric 2?
It did.
What do you use now?
A PC.
Just what word processing program?
Microsoft Word.
Yep, it's a good one. It's the standby.
Yeah.
How many books have you written?
Oh, Lord, I don't count them. I just write them. It's somewhere around 130, 132.
And 100-something would have been my guess, just from the speed at which
I've been at it a long time.
Indeed. So, as far as what was your feeling while writing this? Were you the sort of the main author, and you were asking Les for help on? No.
Les and I collaborated. He actually wrote the first draft of the novel, and he got in all the good technical details. He plotted out the mission and the spacecraft, and we worked together on developing the characters.
How often do you put a book out these days?
Oh, let's see. I've got, I think, 3 of them coming out this year, or already out this year.
They all come out already?
Yeah, the most recent one just came out a week ago. It's a collection of short stories.
What's that one called?
It's called New Frontiers.
Indeed. Now, I'm seeing here that there's, from reading on Rescue Mode, that some powerful political forces that oppose humanity's spaceflight try to use the accident that happened in Rescue Mode as proof that sending humans into space is too dangerous to continue. What are these political forces, and what's their motive?
Well, their motive is their own political careers, but
well, that sounds ordinary.
Yeah, it is ordinary. These are people who are looking at themselves and trying to stay in power. It's very tough politically to do things that don't immediately gain you votes. And exploring the universe is not a big vote getter. It's a long-term process.
Isn't NASA one of people's favorite government programs? I mean,
No, NASA's down in the noise as far as the government programs are concerned. We spend more on pizza than we do on space.
I'm sure that's true. Pizza is immediate gratification. There's no doubt about it.
Hey, I'm Italian, but I'm willing to forego a few slices to do better in space.
What do you think about all the new sort of free market space exploration that's going on?
I think that's our real hope. As long as governments run the space program, decisions will be made for political reasons. When private enterprise gets in there, decisions will be made for reasons of profit. And I think that's a big difference, and you're going to see a lot more progress out of private space operations.
What do you see besides hotels in the sky?
I see mining resources. I see the development of energy systems in space. we talk about solar energy. The Earth intercepts less than 1% of the energy that the sun beams out. If you want to collect energy easily and cleanly, put solar power satellites in space where the sun is always shining. Beam the energy back to Earth. We can get rid of all the energy sources we use now with a half a dozen solar power satellites.
This beaming thing, is that something that they're sort of working on, or is that something that they've done in a lab at this point?
It's been done. No, it's been done in space. The Japanese have beamed electrical power via microwaves from one spacecraft to another. There's nothing magic about it. We know how to make solar cells. We know how to make microwave ovens. And we know how to build large structures in space. All we need is some madman to pull people together and provide the funding to get the job done. Then you'll see the southwest of the United States become an energy center where they'll collect all this energy and spread it out to the rest of the country and the rest of the world.
Currently, with the way the grid's designed, there's a lot of loss, resistance in copper wires.
Yep.
So you can't sort of centralize energy production. How will that be addressed?
Well, you use supercooled aluminum wires. You replace the grid gradually with much more efficient wires that have practically no resistance at all. And again, this is something that we've known how to do since 1908.
So we must be pretty far along in that.
The knowledge is there, but again, building the technology, building the system takes drive and investment.
What other so when you're talking about mining, what do you think the most exciting thing that can be mined in space is?
Oxygen. The moon is 50% oxygen. And of all the stuff we've launched off the surface of the Earth in rockets, 90% of it has been oxygen. You could cut the cost of operating in space in half easily by getting your oxygen supplies from the surface of the moon. You don't have to dig deep. You just have to scrape some of the dust off the top.
What form is this oxygen in? Ice?
No,
H2O?
it's locked chemically to the other elements like silicon.
I see.
And you just use solar energy, heat, to break it apart, and you've got plenty of oxygen for running your rockets and for breathing now and then.
I figured you were going to say metal ores so that we could build large spacecrafts out in space without the hindrances of gravity.
Yes, you could do that, but that'll come down further downstream. The most important thing that we'll gain from moving in a major way into space is more freedom, greater wealth for the human race. You know, you talk about the fact that there are 7 billion people on Earth, and a lot of them are very poor. If you want to make everybody rich, you get a bigger source of resources. And we've seen the bigger source. It's out there. The resources in space can provide more for us than the whole Earth can provide. So we're sort of sitting in the doorway looking into a huge banquet hall. It's all there, ready for us. All we have to do is get up the gumption to walk in and start using it.
What do you think about 3D printers? It seems like this technology is fascinating for humans. You're going to see people soon being able to probably print 3D printers with 3D printers, so they'll be able to make anything that they want to have in their life. They don't have to run down to Walmart to get it. It's just there for the cost of some plastic and metal base components, and maybe that's even solar panels.
More than that, if you read Rescue Mode, you'll see 3D printers are incredibly important to these guys on the spacecraft that's been crippled by a meteor strike. So 3D printers are an important part of the technology we'll be using here on Earth and in space.
How do folks get Rescue Mode?
You buy it.
Amazon.com. I'll put the link in the in the show notes here.
Yeah, you can go to Amazon.com or BarnesandNoble.com. You might even go to your local bookstore.
Yep. I like to point out that, for instance, there's self-published authors out there, and sometimes their books aren't available. And so if it's available through Amazon, it gives it already, an extra bump in people's minds. I just want to make sure that people know that this is a, widely distributed, worldwide.
Oh, Baen Books is one of the major publishers of science fiction in this country.
Indeed, they are. They're dedicated to it, and they seem to have some of the best authors, like Ben Bova, for instance.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. That's very kind of you.
Thank you, Ben Bova, and I'll put the how to buy the book in the show notes.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.